Ready to hear all about my first vending event? Make sure that you stay tuned. But before we get started, I want to go ahead and update you since our last glow up. So, you guys, welcome to episode 2 of the glow up series. This is all about me taking you guys along with me on this journey to building this candle business, BCW candle business, to a six-figure brand. And so I want to just do a quick update with you guys of what has transpired since last week. So if you did not get a chance to watch episode 1, where we talked all about even, how we got started and what it is that we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing, all of that awesome stuff, make sure that you go back and check out episode 1. And so now here is update 1. Okay, here's update number 1. As you can see me over here in this picture, on Sunday, God gave me an idea to actually do a testing event where I bring in some entrepreneurs for my upcoming entrepreneur candle line. And so, literally, God gave me the idea on Sunday to have some entrepreneurs come in who are candle lovers and actually have them give me feedback on the line. And so we're in the process of testing out scents and names and all of that stuff like that. And so he is asking me to go ahead and bring in these entrepreneurs. And he told me to do it in a week. So literally, that was on a Sunday. So this past Monday, I went out, found a location. As you can see in the picture here, we secured this location. And, we're spending now these days literally getting this event together in 7 days. And once again, the purpose of this BCW candle testing event is for me to get feedback on the testing line. So, hey, super excited about that event. So that is update number 1. All right. And now here is update number 2. And so with update number 2, I just want to update you guys on some numbers. So when we did the recording last week and we did the premiere, we were at like 34 subscribers here on our YouTube channel. And so now a week later, we are at 54 subscribers here on YouTube. So super excited about that. As I also noted with you guys during the premiere episode, we average about 5 to 10 candle sales a week. And so we're definitely, looking to get that up to about 25 candle sales per week. That is our goal, so that we sell about 100 candles per month. That's our, goal over the next 3 months. And so just wanted to update you that this week we are at 12. And actually that was from one order. Like that's the highest we've ever had in one single order is 12 candles. And we still have a few days left in this week. So we are definitely still going to see if we can shoot for the 25. Let's see. And so that person that did put in that order, she did take advantage of the Mother's Day sale that we are having. And so she was able to get a super, super duper good sale and deal on her candle. So super excited about that. So that is update number 2. Now we're going to go ahead and dive on in to information about my first vending event. So first, I wanted to share a cute little picture of me. So this is me at the first vending event that I've ever done for the candle business, and so it actually had like an Easter theme. So that's why I had my little Easter, my bunny rabbit ears on. So I wanted you guys to see the setup of the first event, and so now I'm actually going to do a deep dive into what actually took place during this first vending event. So I'm super excited about this. And so I want to break down, I'm going to break this down into 4 sections when it came to the vending event. And so first I want to talk about the actual vending event itself. Someone actually told me about the event, which it was a neighborhood event. So this particular neighborhood, they had this annual event. This is, I think, the second year that they've done this. So someone let me know about the event and that they were taking on vendors. So I was super excited about the plug. So definitely excited about that. And so I'm going to talk about 4 things in this particular video. I'm going to break down and talk about the setup, the sales, and the networking in that, and then the leveraging social media. Okay. So one setup. This was my first time doing an event, and this was an outside event, as you can see. And so, setting up the tent, setting up the table, super, super grateful for the people that I had. I actually had a friend of mine that was there that helped me to, man the table and set everything up. And then the person that told me about the event, their tent was actually right next to ours. So that was great, because one thing that I did not realize, I did not have adequate anchors for the tent, which I did not realize, I did not know the weight that I had was not enough. So the person actually anchored our tent poles together. So, and it did actually, that day did not start out being windy. But as the day went on, it got windier and windier. And so like there were big gusts of wind. So I am so grateful to, the person that was there to be able to, tie our anchors together, tie the weights together. So grateful for that. So that was one lesson learned. Make sure that I have enough weights on the tent if I'm going to do more outdoor events. So that was one. And once again, just the setup of it, being able to get the tent up. So grateful that I had, another person there to help me set up with the tent. So that was a fairly straightforward process of doing that. So that was our first time putting the tent up, and then the setup of the table. And so, trying to decide the best setup for the table. And I think we actually did a pretty good job of the setup. So I'm going to share that again so that you can kind of see how we set the table up with that. I think that we did pretty good with that. I think we did pretty good with that. And so, just looking here at the tent setup, yeah, I think we did a pretty good job with this. I'm definitely not mad at the setup. So as you can see the candles there, see the signage that we had set up there as well. And so, making sure that we had the candles a little bit elevated, and then the ones that were on the table there, those were the ones that people were able to kind of sniff. Now, one thing that we did not have as part of the setup that I completely forgot to bring were the coffee, the coffee beans to kind of neutralize people's scent. So that's one thing that I want to make sure that I have at the next event. So once again, that was a lesson learned with that when it came to the setup. But once again, just a pretty good setup. The QR codes for payments. Just a little bit of description when it comes to the soy candles. Everybody was really pleasantly surprised and amazed that we actually make these candles by hand. So that was actually something that was powerful to talk about and let people actually know that. So we were super excited about that. So once again, definitely love the setup and how we had this set up. I did switch out the tiers that we have, or the little the setup that we have for the candles and what they're sitting on. So I did get something that's a little bit more stable. So that was another thing that we learned. Like, those things work, it was fine, but I kind of upgraded those. So I'm super excited about that. Had my business cards out there. We captured data via a iPad because I taught middle school math for 14 years, and I know how handwriting can be. And so I wanted to make sure I was able to read people's handwriting. So I did not have any paper where people were writing down their information with that, because it can be hard to read people's handwriting. So definitely did not do that. Okay, so I'm going to stop that screen share. I just wanted to make sure that you guys saw the setup of the table. And so that was a setup. So those were, what I learned about the table. So, and just the setup, making sure if we're outdoor event that we have it anchored down, we have enough weight. So we definitely got more weights for that. Even just the actual setup of the table, pretty satisfied with that. So that was a great addition to have. And then also the setup when it comes to taking people's information, making sure that it's as much electronic as possible, because trying to read people's handwriting, no. Okay, so that was the first thing, to set up and lessons learned and all of those good things like that. The second one, sales. So, set a sales goal, and the sales goal was to sell 30 candles. That was our goal at this particular event. And so too. And so even with that lesson learned, one of the biggest things was, we had the technology to collect the information, but for me also, I wanted to use the iPad to collect the money and all of that stuff like that, to go into the back end of my Shopify and be able to collect the money like that. And I could not figure out, of course, I'm testing it here at home, but I did not test it outside of my Wi-Fi at home. And so realized quickly that one, to use my iPad out there, I had to have it connected to my Bluetooth, had the Bluetooth turned on, and then also have it connected to my Wi-Fi, which I did. Like, I figured that part out, but I had to end up, we kept getting a message saying that they could not read the card reader part, which is what I was trying to do. That was the main thing I wanted to use the iPad for, was the card reader. And so just kept getting this error message, error message, error message. So I just ended up using my phone, which kind of defeated the purpose, because the other person that was here there, my helper, they were supposed to collect the payment. And so that's why I had the iPad. I wanted them to use that iPad to be able to do that. So that was definitely a lesson learned when it comes to the technology, and just making sure that I'm a little bit better with the technology and making sure that the technology worked. I actually had to call Shopify's help to figure out what was going on, because even after I got home and was back on my Wi-Fi, I was still getting the same error message. So he literally had to walk me through how to figure out to solve that issue. So issue solved. I won't have that. I actually, went outside of my Wi-Fi, here, and made sure that it worked in different locations. So that is now taken care of. Another thing too, when it came to the sales, was someone had asked about Venmo, which I did not have a Venmo account. Well, I had a personal Venmo account, which I didn't even know I had. But I quickly on site set up a Venmo account for the business. So, we have a cash app for the business. We have Venmo now for the business. They can use cards and they can use cash. So, that was definitely lessons learned when it came to the sales. So, once again, we did not hit our sales goal. We were not anywhere near. And so, what I realized, and one thing that I recognized even with the sales there, definitely you want to be personable. So, that was something definitely for me being personable, getting from behind the table, going out and talking to people and meeting people. That part was interesting. So, I learned some tips and strategies and things like that when it came to the sales, when it comes to in-person sales. Once again, having the coffee beans there to kind of neutralize people's the smell so that they can actually detail the difference between the different scents with that. And once again, being personable, and as I noted, kind of educating people more on the actual soy candles and using the soy wax and stuff like that. So I know the next time we will actually generate more sales. And I'm going to tell you, we actually did some more sales after the event, and I'm going to tell you how we did that in a few. So, like I said, the actual sales itself, and then the technology when it came to the sales and the payments and all that stuff like that. So definitely lessons learned. And I think we got those kinks, worked out. So that was two. The third thing, networking. Absolutely amazing. I got to meet some amazing people, just the people that were part of that community, so that neighborhood. So that was powerful, giving out business cards and stuff like that. And then the other entrepreneurs that were there, that was such an amazing experience with networking and seeing who we can collab with and partner with and refer and all of that stuff like that. So love that, because one of our goals is to actually partner with real estate companies and stuff like that. So there was a real estate agent out there, so got that connection and that information. So super excited about that possible collaboration. So the networking, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. Did a really good job with that. And then the fourth thing, when it came to the event and the vending, the power of social media. And so my goal was to journey almost like the entire day via my stories. Like I wanted to use the stories on Facebook and Instagram, as a way to kind of give people a sneak peek, 24-hour snap into what was going on. And because it was my first time doing like a vending event, I wasn't able to capture as much footage as I wanted to, but I was able to capture footage, like getting there and the setup, and just kind of like walking and talking and all that stuff like that, because thank goodness I had someone there to help, which actually helped me to be able to capture some footage that I was able to leverage my stories and social media, just putting posts on social media too. And thought I was going to go live on TikTok, and I did not get a chance to go live because I was going to have the camera set up where it was facing us, not outward to the crowd, but facing us, so people could kind of see what was going on. Did not even get a chance to do that. But once again, lessons learned with, ways of being able to allow for that to flow and get that to happen. So definitely you'll be able to do that for the next vending event. But something that did come out of that and sharing the stories and stuff like that was I generated sales, from the stories, because people, saw me out there. They saw that I had more stories than usual, which I noticed that as I'm sharing about the candle business in my stories, that my story views are shooting up. So I'm super excited about that. And I was able to close a sale from that, leveraging my social media. So I will definitely continue to leverage social media when it comes to my vending events. So those were the four areas that I wanted to update you guys on when it came to my first vending event. Once again, the setup. And so now definitely have that streamlined. One thing that I do want to practice on is being able to set my tent up by myself, in case I ever have to do an event and it's just me, like I don't have someone to help me. So I am practicing with that, of setting up a tent by myself if I have to. And actually, my next vending event is going to be an indoor event, so I don't have to worry about taking a table and chairs and tents and all that stuff like that, because they'll have all of that stuff. So super excited about that. And like I said, lessons learned when it came to the setup. Sales, once again, we did not hit our goal. We were so far off from our goal, but I learned some things about in-person sales and stuff like that, and even paying attention to those who did make the sales and what it was about that. So making sure that I amp that up. And then, like I said, hands down, the networking. So with the actual people who were at a part of the event, in that neighborhood, powerful connections, and then the other business owners, powerful connections. And then leveraging social media. And so some suggestions that I had, is asking people if they're okay with me, like taking pictures of them buying the product. And once again, being able to post it on social media so that people can see, hey, they were here in person, they smelled it themselves, and they were actually able, they like that and all of that stuff like that. So, got some amazing ideas when it came to leveraging social media. So this was my recap of my first vending event. So I shared everything, the sales, the numbers, the highs, the lows, all of those things. Like I said, I'm going to be very transparent on this journey. So thank you guys so much for joining us with episode 2 of the Glow Room, the Glow Up. And so, you definitely want to make sure if you missed episode 1 to go back and check out episode 1, subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to the channel. And we will actually, the videos drop every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to actually do premieres as much as possible so that I can actually be in the chat live with you guys and chit chatting with you guys during the live. That's super cool. So I'm going to definitely do that more. And then the next episode that we're going to talk about is actually that testing, the BCW Candle Boutique testing experience. So that's coming up. So the next video that I drop next week, next Thursday, you're going to be able to see the behind the scenes to that. So you definitely want to make sure that you stay tuned so that you can see the behind the scenes and all of that good stuff and what that process was like as bringing others in. So I'm super excited to see what their thoughts are. And if they're like, hey, this does not smell like what I thought it would, then we're going to scrap it and we're going to start all over again, which I'm fine because I want that line to make sure that it reflects what entrepreneurs want. So you guys definitely make sure if you missed last week, go ahead and check out the other video and then make sure that you come back next week, Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because once again, episode 3, we're going to talk about this testing experience. And so I want to take you guys behind the scenes with that. So you guys, thank you so much for subscribing. Once again, you're in the Glow Room. I am Beverly Walthour. I'm the owner of BCW Candle Boutique, and you are coming on this journey with me as we build this candle business into a 6-figure brand. Until next time, you guys, thanks so much. Take care. We're going to build this to 6 figures, flame by flame.